everyone. So this video is just basically for new people that are considering getting the silicone baby or um, expecting one or just pondering with the idea of one. And I just wanted to let you guys know, I know we hear a lot of stories about, oh my God, silicones are, so delicate, they're very expensive, and yet you can't really enjoy them because you're afraid they're going to tear, they're going to rip, they're going to peel, they're going to fade, they're going to lose hair. Well, I just want to let you guys know that just in my experience of collecting silicone babies, and I haven't had a whole lot of them. I've had, quite a few from different ranges of beginners, artists to some of the more advanced, and I believe, in my opinion, that of course Claire Taylor is one of the top artists, along with Romy Stridham and a couple other ones that's been doing it for a very long time. So I say all that to say that every silicone baby is different based on the quality and the durability of the silicone doll. But for the most part, what I've experienced, even with some of the ones that wasn't as expensive, is that they're not as fragile as people make you believe they are. To me, I really love them a lot, and secondhand market is very scary, and it's okay to buy from secondhand market with silicones, but I would suggest that you deal with only really reputable doll owners and kind of do a little bit of research, because it's just so many things that could go wrong with the silicones. And I know that's kind of contradicting what I'm saying, but some people are very rough with their dolls or don't take very good care of their dolls. And there are a lot of things that could be wrong that is very hard to detect on camera when you're trying to look just from pictures or a video when trying to purchase a silicone doll. So I do, if you can get it directly from the artist, that's great. But if not, secondhand market is okay. Now, one of the pros to secondhand market with silicones versus vinyl dolls that I like is the fact that you can bathe them. So no matter what house they've been to, and if, then maybe their housekeeping is not the same as yours, when they come home, you can always put them in a bath and wash them off, and they just smell good and just like, new, voila. I was told by my artist that, that a couple artists have said that giving them baths shouldn't affect their paint, and it shouldn't make them peel. As long as you're not being excessive, and as long as you're not using anything abrasive on them, like, of course you don't want to scrub them, and you don't want to use harsh soaps. You want to stick to like baby products, like baby soap or Johnson & Johnson's baby bath, something like that that's very, mild. And as far as washing their hair, you don't want to scrub in their hair. You might just want to take the washcloth and squeeze and, rinse the water and let it, rinse out. Their hair is not sealed. So yeah, you have to be a little bit more gentle than you would with a reborn. But what I found from most of the artists that I've collected, now I had one that the hair was just shedding everywhere like a dog. Maybe that's a bad example, but anyway, you know what I mean. But for the most part, I've had good luck with mine. A lot of the silicone artists root very deep. So even with light brushing, and I suggest that you use either a toothbrush, or, I know that sounds crazy, but a toothbrush or a baby brush. That's something very fine and gentle. Some people say don't use a brush at all, just use a comb. With Zoe, I really don't have to use much of anything, but when I do use a brush, it's mostly just trying to get the framing of the front of her face or something with the hair. So it doesn't tangle or anything, so I don't have to get the kinks out. But in the past, I have used combs very gently. And when I'm combing, when they have like very thick hair, I'll hold the root of their hair and just kind of work my way up, getting the kinks out. And I always like spray it with, a mohair spray or something, or water to loosen it up so that you're not yanking out patches of hair. But that's basically the only thing. And when you're using powder, now some babies don't require powder, and you shouldn't really powder them like all the time. Well, you can if you want, but I just learned recently that it just doesn't make sense to like powder them all the time. For one, it kind of dulls their color and everything, or washes out their color a little bit. So, but if they're tacky or they're sticky, then cornstarch, you want to use pure cornstarch baby powder, and you can powder them down either by putting it in your hand, or some people use these little, the little brushes and all that. I've been told, different things. Some people say don't use the brushes, just use it on your hand and rub it like it's, on them. What you don't want to do, and I've seen this before, you don't want to put lotion on your dolls. It is at the end of the day a doll, so you don't want to put lotion on them. I know we want them to smell good, but then that's the purpose of the powder. Or what I do is I use a baby spray, baby powder spray. It's a fragrance, and I spray their clothes when the clothes are not on them, and then make sure it's dry, and then I put the clothes on them, and they just smell like a baby. Or whatever I use in their hair smells good, and that gives them a baby smell as well. But you don't want to use lotion, and I know some people use Vaseline for the pacifiers to ease them in the mouth easy. I was told not to do that, so a lot of people say they haven't had any problems with it and they do it, but I wouldn't suggest it. I don't do it, but I know it does make it easier for it to go in. So that's something you probably just want to talk to the artist that created the baby that you are getting, because everybody's silicone mix is different, so different chemicals could react differently to the type of silicone mix that they're using. Okay, so I just put powder on it, and I always try to stick to newborn size nipples. Like, the smaller the nipple is, the better. Now, if not, you could always modify it, and when I say modify it, I mean like, clipping the nipple, just clipping it, cutting it down a little bit, cutting a little bulb off of it so that it easily goes in the mouth. And when putting it in the mouth, just be careful not to, force it. You shouldn't have to force it in. Sometimes you may have to give it a squeeze on the cheek or whatever, but for the most part, just put it in there, but make sure you're not damaging anything in the mouth if it has tongue and gums and stuff. And like, she has a uvula, whatever they call it. I call it a tonsil, and so I try not to. That's why I don't want one really long, because I don't want it pushing anything back there or whatever. So, I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's really not. And when dressing them, I've heard people, they put on hand mitts on their little hands, and it makes it easier so that if they have open hands, that their fingers don't get ripped off or tore or something like that. So, yeah, so you can use hand mitts, and that help with dressing them. But when you dress them, if you just take your time like you do with a regular baby, it shouldn't be that big of an issue. It really they're really not as fragile, especially like my Claire baby. I find her to be very durable, and she has the little armpits. So she actually have true armpits under there. So, dressing her is really easy to get the shirts on and off and everything. But you do want to be careful, and, don't, when you're posing your baby, try not to pose them in awkward positions. If you see that you seem like you're putting a strain on the baby, or you're forcing it into a certain position, don't do it, because then you may have a tear or a rip, and then you're going to be upset. But for the most part, it shouldn't be a big deal. I mean, sometimes, to pose my babies, if they don't stay in the position I want them to, I use stuff to prop and put behind them, just so, I'm not putting any pressure on their silicone. So yeah, it's not that hard, guys. What else? Oh, heating pads. Some artists says that they don't think that it will affect the silicone. Some say they wouldn't do it. Some say they won't warrant the baby if you use heating pads on your baby. So I would definitely, again, check with the artist that made the baby. It does feel great, guys. I can't lie. I've done it before with one of my other silicone babies, but after I was told that they don't know what it might do over a period of time, a long term, I just decided not to continue to do it. So I want to enjoy my doll, and that's what I do. I will enjoy her and, you know, handle her and change her clothes as much as I want. And that's another thing. Like, people think that they're not you're not able to change their clothes as much as the reborns. I find myself feeling like I can change her more than I can change my reborn, because the color is, you know, it's not like the vinyl. It's not really rubbing. I don't know. I feel like they're both the same if they're well made, because again, if they're really matted correctly and, you know, well done with the reborns, you shouldn't have that much of a problem. But for the most part, I still overall feel like silicone babies are, I can change them even more so. Because how many times you hear artists say with reborns, oh my God, you know, you can't just keep changing them. You know, that's wearing on the paint. They're like a painting on the wall and all this stuff. Well, anyway, I wouldn't buy from artists that thinks that their paint is going to rub off their silicone, off of their reborn babies after a few clothes changes anyway. So, but some do say that, and I guess I understand where they're saying in to a certain sense, where you got to keep in mind that these are dolls, they are art dolls, they are collectibles, and they're, some people don't, they say they're not intended for real play, but I think maybe in the beginning in collecting them, maybe they wasn't, but at this point, you know, this is what we do with them. So I'm thinking most artists are making their dolls of quality to be able to sustain that type of activity, because they know that's what we do. We dress them all day. We, you know. So yeah, so don't be afraid. Don't let people scare you. You know, a lot of people, like, I don't know, people have preferences on whether they like ball jointed heads or all one piece. I like both, but I thought I wasn't gonna like the ball jointed, but I really like the ball jointed now, because I can turn her head, you know, so easily in different ways. Like, she can be like, I ain't looking at you guys in the camera today, or she can be like, let me see what my aunties are talking about today. So I just like, you know, that, you know, she's just very posable. Some people like armatures and some people don't. I particularly don't like armatures, but some people do, because they want to be able to, you know, put their hands in different ways and stuff. But I find that I can kind of pose her still without, you know, jeopardizing her silicone or whatever. And I don't know, but I would play with that until I get that little hand to stay up. And like this hand, it can come up, it can go down, or it can go by her side. You know, I can move it a little bit in different ways, so I'm okay with that. But armatures, of course, yeah, they give you the flexibility of bending them and bending them back and all that stuff. And some of them you can move them at the wrist and, you know, flick, flick, flick. Yeah, so it's just all about preference. But as far as taking care of silicones, I think that as long as it's platinum silicone, um, I've heard not to buy tin silicone because that crumbles and falls apart in the past. But platinum silicone, I think it's durable. I think that you can enjoy them just as much as reborns. And that's my take on that. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I just wanted to give a quick rundown. And if I forgot anything, oh my gosh, you know, leave it in the comment below and I'll answer whatever questions I might know, and if I don't know the answer, I'll ask an artist. So see you guys soon, and I hope that you guys get to experience a silicone baby one day if that is your desire.